welcome. This is Michael Kornbluth, your host for the Do It All Dad Year podcast. Dad-friendly entertainment for you and me. Controlling our kids with comedy can make our kids great again. And this is episode 18. Stay-at-home dad or indentured servant. So the overriding theme we're going to be talking about today on the Do It All Dad Year podcast is freedom. All thanks to Kanye West. I definitely am promoting more Kaya for Kanye. Whatever he's on, whether it's the pure love of the Lord or not, or for that high-grade Kaya out in Cali, either way, it's working. Keep it up. Before we get to freedom, my own definitions of it, and in relation to a stay-at-home dad, I wanted to share this before I drew a complete blank. Note to self, must write the unhuggable cunt. Glad we got that off my chest. So this is my definition of real freedom. Boss of self. Nobody orders you around. You do whatever you want to do. Complete freedom from the petty threats of lesser, jealous rappers who can't conceal their thuggish colors no matter how many weed brownies they bake with Martha Stewart. I think we all know what I'm talking about there. In case you guys didn't, that was a blatant joke at the expense of Snoop Dogg, whose brain hovers a notch above Pornhood hell. And he called Kanye West and Uncle Tom because he pledged his love for Donald Trump. And then out of the blue, some no-name, quip basically issued the equivalent of like a fatwa on Kanye West. So it's pretty obvious who the non-class act is of the two when you're comparing Snoop and Kanye. History fact. I am loving my Cortana, my voice-powered assistant. I learn something new each day. Here we go. History fact. Cortana says Henry VIII only beheaded 2 wives he couldn't stand. He divorced the rest. Meaning, if Henry VIII had less annoying wives, divorce wouldn't have spread like the plague in the 1980s. Has Michael Savage complained about the death of airline food again today? And comedy heaven, Lenny Bruce just shot a needle in both ears to tune out his old man Jew punch-free musings to nowhere for good. You're not as punchy as you think, Savage. My daughter asked, why does Sir Charles want to punch Draymond Green in the face? And I said, because unlike Draymond Green, Barkley doesn't hit below the belt. And I will say this, sidetrack, everyone made a really big deal about Fergie's sexed up rendition of the national anthem. In particular, people were pointing out Draymond Green's exaggerated facial expressions. Now, some people were saying Draymond Green, he was looking at Fergie in you're a crazy white girl sense, but what I saw from my end was he took one look at Fergie, sing that national anthem, sex it up in her own pole-sliding, dressed-up sort of way. I saw Draymond Green look at Fergie and think what I thought. She looks like sex in a stick. She was the personification of sex in a stick. Meanwhile, Draymond's thinking, I would love the opportunity to bend you behind right now on the spot in honor of our country and our Vietnam vets that gave our lives so I can get guaranteed money and be a degenerate scumbag and a two-time NBA champion and get away with punching guys in the nuts without a problem, without me really receiving any sort of, verbal, throwback, outside of Charles Barkley threatening to punch me in the face. If Charles wasn't going to do it, I don't know who was. But yeah, so Draymond Green is just staring at Fergie thinking, I want to bend you over right now and go, who's your daddy? Who is your daddy? That's what I saw. Big fan of Fergie. I think she would have. I mean, there's still plenty of time. I'm not writing her off just yet. But I think that she should form her own rock and roll band. Maybe convince Slash to do an entire album with just her. Because she does a song called Beautifully Dangerous on Slash's first solo album. And it advances the sound of rock and roll to nth degree. She does excellent renditions of Heart. And on Heart's debut album, Dreamboat Annie, they do a lot of covers of Led Zeppelin. And more awesome facts about Fergie. I once read in Maxim magazine that her first love was crystal meth, which is pretty hot for her to admit that. And then also, then again, at the same time, crystal meth and white trash girls with tattoos have ruined internet porn for me forever, because I'm more of a golden age mountain of muff sort of guy, but that's besides the point. And I read when she was married to that good-looking actor, I forget his name, Josh something, that to entertain her husband, she had a stripper pole installed in their nightclub lounge room because they can afford a nightclub lounge strip club tease room for Fergie, because only so many people in the rock and roll business can make the big bucks, and why not make her husband a happy man? So not only did she stand by her man, she used to slide for him excessively, which I think is a beautiful thing. Too bad that marriage didn't work out. She was really great on Fashion Police with Joan. She called Joan Rivers a bitch, and Joan... Oh, that's right. She smashed a pie in Joan Rivers' face. That was a really great moment on Fashion Police. Before Howdy Doody Kathy Griffin ruined the franchise forever. Kathy Griffin. Despicable human being. And this is the true story. Joan Rivers went into that coma when she had that. It was just a routine procedure on her throat. And she was in a deep coma. Nobody knew what was going to happen next. So Joan Rivers' entire life and career was in complete limbo. And this is fact. I mean, this is, you can look it up. But Kathy Griffin, literally, like the day of Joan Rivers going into a coma, started campaigning for her job at Fashion Police. So that's the sort of individual we're dealing with here, folks. So I really don't want to hear, oh, well, when Barack Obama was president, people used to take their football dummies and their puppets and their Cabbage Patch Kids, and they would make it look like Barack Obama, and they would hang it outside their bedroom window. I never saw these videos. And I also don't remember I hate to say, prominent D-list celeb actually pick up the head of a decapitated, currently residing president. Just to be clear. But then again, everyone has to, apparently there's still some law that's inscribed in stone that commands you to suck off Obama's legacy to your last dying breath. And that every time Israel presents more evidence that Iran never stopped building nukes or testing ballistic missiles to carry those nukes, it doesn't matter how much evidence they show, because the fake news will always insist that the Jews running Israel are the real enemy and the real evil propagandists that just want war, which makes absolutely no sense. When their entire existence is predicated on everyone wanting to kill them and not acknowledging the right to exist. Meanwhile, the Palestinians, just a little history lesson, for the record, the Israelis, the land that they were given at first it wasn't fertile. Basically, it was a freaking mirage. It was not prime real estate in freaking Malibu. We're not talking vineyards in Napa Valley over here. Yet, the Jews, as stated in the Bible, are the chosen people, and they were able to make beautiful, lush greenery grow in the Middle East, in the desert, and become a shining beacon of democracy. Showcase the height of medicine, education, technology. So we give Israel money so they can afford, bigger missiles. Whoop-de-freaking-do. Whoop-de-freaking-do. When the entire world is trying to kill them, and I get to hear about freaking Holocaust survivors in France that are being murdered out of the blue with no protection. Cartoonists can't even make fun of Allah, Muhammad. I don't even give a shit confusing the two. They can't do that without having their lives be put at risk even more now than ever before. Yeah, I don't really care whatsoever about America giving their friend Israel money to protect themselves, because they represent the great ideals that we do. Anyone that says anything different can move to Sweden right now or Norway, and you could have fun with like your free healthcare, but also have fun with freedom of speech being completely held under hostage for the remainder of your pathetic, scaredy pants lives. And that's that. Matt Barnes, another scholarly intellectual for the ages, and then some. Matt Barnes says we should pray for Kanye. When did Matt Barnes become the voice of his generation? Does Matt Barnes play a tattoo shop owner in a Girls episode I missed, where he runs out of ink from filling up Lena's back fat tattoo again? I don't get it. Sit down, Matt Barnes. I mean, were you even ever an All-Star or like a 6 Man of the Year award? I mean, give me a break. You have like chiseled lats, like that's your claim to fame, and you played on the Clippers. So you're able to look a tad more stylish, I guess. Next to freaking JJ Redick. Congratulations. I look more stylish next to JJ Redick. I could rock a stubble too, and do the exaggerated hair part. But anyway, so Cosby, got to talk about Cos. The verdict is in. The man is going downtown. In retrospect, the Cosby judge who overrided his guilty verdict, the Cosby judge should have given himself a Quaalude from Leo's personal stash from The Wolf of Wall Street and called an extended recess before the actual sentencing, just to throw off Cosby's precious comedic timing before being sentenced to hell. For the record, I want Seinfeld to break from smirking for at least 5 years and counting. And then his probation from smirking is lifted. That's what I want for Seinfeld. I wish the judge could put that in order too. So this is my conversation with my wife this morning, talking about North Korea. I go to my wife, I said, babe, North Korea is taking down its propaganda speakers. And my wife says, but they only have one television station. And I said, as opposed to the two you were raised on, showing endless repeats of Astro Boy within the hickey hinterlands of Australia, babe. It's always fun to make fun of my wife for growing up with two stations in Australia. And that's not even an example of like blatant comedic exaggeration either, so it works on that level too. But yeah, so, and I wasn't trying to rub this in, I just think it's a great development that our country should be excited about and not try to disassociate or downplay. And I said, yeah, babe, so I kept that a little bit. I said, Trump can win the Nobel Prize for getting North Korea to give up their nukes for good. And my wife says, I don't trust him. I don't trust Kim. And I said, Kim Jong has already released American prisoners as an act of good faith, but your default skepticism matters more, obviously. Cosby. I love when people say this. Cosby was framed so he wouldn't buy NBC. Actually, he admitted to giving his accusers Quaaludes in order to have sex with them and wear his pants down low like the rappers he used to mock for flashing their low-hanging pudding pops. That was a mouthful. Kim Kardashian couldn't wrap her mouth around it. Again, Kanye, all that joke means is that Kim is pro star-studded black schlongage all the way. Obviously. So my mom returns from Israel. First text sent back in my direction is this. First one. She's been away for 2 weeks. Goes to the Holy Land. She's never been. She understands I'm raising my 3 kids Jewish. My mom converted. I just made up with my brother. We hadn't talked in ages. My mom returns from Israel. First text sent back. This is after my birthday, where I didn't get a phone call. Here we go. Mom returns from Israel. First text sent back, because she was in Israel. Because, they don't have Skype there. Then again, I had banned my parents from Skype anyway, because they don't dress up for the occasion. And my mom's shitty Dunkin' Donuts coffee breath fogs up the computer screen as we speak. But like I was saying, my mom returns from Israel. First text sent back. I'd love to speak with the kids. When's a good time? I text back. When Trump gets the Nobel Peace Prize, so you can try to justify what a piece of shit he actually is to your 3 grandchildren you never help out with. Obviously, I'm a nice guy, so I did not send that text. Did not want to cause a complete heart attack on the spot. I'm a lover, not a fighter. According to Michelle Obama, she's our forever first lady. Can we meet in the middle, Michelle, and call you Forever Hung instead? Ryan Reynolds suffers from anxiety. Let me repeat that. According to E! News, in an upcoming groundbreaking interview with D. Ryan Reynolds, the world will learn that Ryan Reynolds suffers from anxiety. My night screams would be put off if Blake Lively was my nighttime lay. Camille Cosby says the guilty verdict against her hubby, Bill Cosby, is mob justice. Fine, then don't take it so personal, babe. Rape enabler, protector, bitch extraordinaire. And my wife, Camille, is a lying sack of shit. And obviously, a blatant rape and power protector. Good luck explaining you playing dumb to your maker. Ryan Reynolds. I never use expressions such as meet your maker, but I'm glad I do. Since the liberal New Yorkers that I grew up with became complete, fanatical, American-hating, Obama-sucking-off douchebag to the very end, out of sheer spite of not being as smart as Donald Trump alone, and then I started following Christian conservatives on Twitter. God bless them all. And I do like the fact that they talk about this guy as much as they do. And I'm going to thank all of you out there, because I wouldn't be referencing the big man upstairs. I don't mean to offend you when I say big man upstairs. It's just my old expression. I think the most important thing is that, God acknowledges and appreciates whenever his children on earth give thanks and praises. Like Bob Marley. So that's a beautiful thing. And yeah, so meet your maker. I never would have used that expression without for you loyal patriot Trump supporters that do believe in God and believe in not being a lying, degenerate scumbag your entire life. So thank you for that. Ryan Reynolds suffers from anxiety. Trading Scarlett Johansson for Blake Lively would wreak havoc on my nervous system. Obviously not. It's a blatant case of New York sarcasm. Alright, so this is it. I know everyone has been eagerly anticipating it. This is Robert Mueller's $64 million question for President Trump. Why didn't you see any Klan gatherings on TV when Obama was president? President Trump replies, the Grand Dragon stayed in bed depressed, I guess. Under extremely low thread count sheets from the 60s, before Overstock.com was born. Obviously, I never had to shop for high-end Egyptian thread count sheets on Overstock.com because I'm Donald Trump and I own Trump Tower in like 87. Pre-internet, pre-smartphone, pre-Ronald Reagan or any U.S. president really acknowledging the fact that AIDS was more than just a homo disease. Camille Cosby calls her husband's guilty verdict mob justice. Why? Because Seinfeld vouched for him in the doc Comedian, telling Chris Rock, he's a good fella, like one of us. So I'm at the Acme supermarket. It's a chain in Philly. They went out here in North Salem. Got a good old wiffle ball bat. Oh, I don't know what happened to the old one. And my son asked, what's the bat for? And I said, to act out Al Capone the next time you misbehave. And these old women around me like lost it entirely, which I got a real kick out of. I would love to see. I'd love to see their tweets on the state of the Boy Scouts today. Trusting Facebook to rank the trustworthiness of news networks is like Stormy Daniels trusting in Charlie Sheen's barebacking purification diet. I love hearing this. You can't withdraw from the Iran deal. Obama stopped the DEA from arresting drug runners from Hezbollah in order for the mullahs to get their startup nuke acceleration seed money. Stupid. So stupid. Obviously, you don't have a huge brain that's capable of earning a creative writing master's degree from NYU like Ben Rhodes. That witless twerp that sold the Iran deal. This document, they even brag about it. I don't see Ben Rhodes tweeting about it right now. They literally bragged about it. This is when I used to read the New York Times. I remember he bragged about how they sold the Iran deal by silencing their critics of the deal by saying that the critics just wanted to start World War III. And then he used all of his narrative techniques from the MFA creative writing program at NYU to sell the deal. Like there was actual sales involved. I love hearing, oh, well, some European countries approved the deal because, they're pussies and, they let who take over Europe. So what the fuck are they going to do about it, right? Unbelievable. Like, when was the last time Europe showed, any sort of impressive, inspiring leadership, on anything? Kanye is hijacking the conservative movement. I thought he was trying to be a digitally empowered Bob Marley in the age of TMZ. The Boy Scouts of America are no more. So my sons will learn survival skills by reading Art of the Deal, and from endless repeat showings of Rambo, Shark Tank, and MMA dissertations by Joe Rogan on high-powered weed instead. It's my daughter the other day. Dada, what does radiant mean? Showing or indicating happiness? So think the opposite of Mimi or Papa whenever I bring up my Twitter prowess in relation to Trump again. They certainly hate that. That's for damn sure. So, I have not really addressed the topic of stay-at-home dad or indentured servant. Now, why do I say that? I say that for a couple of reasons. Number one, when I used to work as an IT headhunter, I used to refer to myself as a glamorized indentured servant. Because the candidates, never really seemed to appreciate your assistance that much, because their attitude was, well, they were in demand, and, you're just a human parasite, and you're just exploiting them for all they're worth, and you don't have any marketable talent of your own. So basically, in order for you to feed yourself and your growing family, you need to basically collect your pound of flesh and capitalize upon the brain nerdiness of others. You could say it's a little bit of a harsh assessment of the recruitment dynamic between the recruiter and candidate, but that's how I felt. It also didn't do wonders for the ego when I got my TV writing break for VH1 and VH1 Classic, worked on my trilogy to pitch my pilot, got a referral for a writing job, going to do movie awards, blah, blah, blah. Then all of a sudden, I got a second kid that's being born. My wife says, get a job now, or this isn't going to work, and I can't have you at home with this baby, maternal leave during the winter. So out of nowhere, God throws one of my old contacts into my life, Eric Newman, who I've worked for on numerous occasions. I mentioned before in the podcast, and he was working at Robert Half, and that's how I went to work for the man. Again, so my wife says, you don't suck up your ego. You think you're only good for a writing job in the Howard Stern show? No, I went to work for the evil empire, that being Robert Half, and I was doing well. But again, did not do wonders for the ego when I had candidates that were half my age that were getting 30K pay jumps and that I was helping negotiate, and them not really appearing all too grateful in the process. And that's fine. And it would have been fine if I actually was able to collect my commission, but I was let go before I was able to capitalize on that because I wasn't bringing in enough candidates. In August, by the way. No one in New York works during August, but that's okay. This podcast wouldn't exist if that never happened. So, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. But I mentioned the indentured servant thing because, you always feel that when you work as a recruiter that, your existence it's very unstable. You should always pick up new job orders, especially that first year when you don't have that repeat business. Real thankless profession at first. I mean, you really got to grind it out. And so, if I'm going to think to myself, at what point did I have more freedom? Was it working for the man at Robert Half or working as an indentured servant here on the home front as a stay-at-home dad? I mean, I'm going to say I got more freedom as an indentured servant on the stay-at-home dad front because, I'm convinced, you guys know it is, and I mentioned this before, you can't state any sort of passion or larger-than-life interest outside of your job. They don't want to know about it, and I don't blame them for it. I don't. But, that's an unspoken rule. And I remember there was this great show on Showtime, and I'll think of the name in a second, but it was about this advertising executive, and I think Stephen Fry's in it, English actor. I think he's a stand-up comedian too. And it's about, he lives in Woodstock, and he works for a big-time ad agency, and they're modernizing, and it's all about him sucking up his ego and pride, and him doing his best to tolerate, the safe space, new age, millennial, Mouseketeer sort of era of advertising that, he's now in. It's becoming, it's feeling like an outdated relic more and more each day. And they had this guy who was a famous porn star, I think he's a gay porn star, I don't know his name, and he basically was comparing porn, the world of porn, to corporate America. And he was saying, referring to, the women, that receive, the bukkake, that's basically where you get, facials from, every single direction. And he was saying how they really sell it, saying, oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. And that they don't necessarily, who loves to have, their eyes burn and to be, gagging as if, they're going to freaking, die on the spot in a second. So I get what he's saying in relation to corporate America, saying that, you need to act like those porn stars receiving bukkake, meaning, you need to, your attitude they expect is, give me more and more and more. You need to be their glutton, for punishment and act as if this job is what you were born and live to do. So I would say at the home front, I definitely don't, as a stay-at-home dad, stay-at-home dads do possess a great amount of freedom, knowing that they don't have to put up those facades and they can be more themselves. And this has been beautiful about being with my children, is that it has put me in touch with my inner child again. and it's been wonderful to, play football with them and play wiffle ball. And in the age of YouTube, where I could actually doctor my poor mechanics and make sure my kids didn't suffer in the sense of having to feel like prolonged putzes as long as I have in this world. So that's a beautiful thing. Also, being able to do the writing that I want to do, all these jokes that I just share with you, I literally came up with today at and about entertaining my kids as my wife, sleeps because she works nights as a nurse. And that's a beautiful thing. So God, I just want to thank you for, this incredible gift of freedom that you've given me on the home front. Kanye West had some tweet recently saying that you should do everything in your power to protect your ability to, create and develop, your own ideas. And I agree with Kanye. Unfortunately for me, I've been a little bit too obsessed with, being protective of this very precious time to work on my own ideas and advance my own creative agenda in the hopes of becoming a paid professional entertainer performer again. Because last time I checked, it was still 4 years ago since I got my last TV writing break. I am still going to be talking about Trump. I'm still going to be talking about Kanye. I refuse to believe that the entire entertainment industry is completely paralyzed by fear and that no one is willing to make any sort of creative stand as far as being able to, endorse or support someone like myself that is fearless when it comes to making fun of all hypocrisy and all insanity. And that's what comedians do. And I'm happy for Roseanne. I'm glad her show's doing well. And I have no malice. She's actually the only person that's ever blocked me on Twitter. So how much of an annoying Jew can you be to have Roseanne Barr block you on Twitter? This is what happens when your own mother, that being mine, refuses to accept your connection request on LinkedIn because of your wildcard, unstable corporate job history, where you've been fired more than a Palestinian slingshot. So chances are I won't be asking my mom to endorse my creative writing skills on LinkedIn anytime soon. So as a result, what do? Knowing that I have a mother that's, never, for some reason, has refused to acknowledge, my passion for entertaining and making people laugh and making people feel. My writing, knowing that's my one gift that I've always thought that I've been able to create possible greatness with. It makes me feel most alive, most energized, most magnified, most connected to the world around me. Never made any sense to me. And as a result, when you have someone like Roseanne Barr, and I sent her a couple of tweets, some jokes, I don't remember them. One was about Russia and doping. Another one was about like Yelp, the founders of Yelp. Anyway, the point being is she liked some jokes. It's like 2 years ago. So all of a sudden I start treating her as if she's like my surrogate adopted Jewish grandma. I think I freaked her out with my assumatory egocentric behavior. But again, no malice. Very happy for Roseanne and for the 64 million branded racists that finally have a show, that could showcase, both sides. Because, this Russian collusion fairy tale has gone on long enough. Fake news only perpetuated, so the New York Times still sells subscriptions. And it's a huge stain on democracy, creative fiction, independent thinking in general, and I can't wait for this story to die. Glad Giuliani was on Hannity last night. I don't watch any of these shows. I just read summations on my Twitter feed, but I think it's great that Giuliani called on Hillary saying, Hillary, I know you're upset that you lost, but you're a criminal and you should be in jail. So I'm glad I'm not the only one here still accusing Hillary Hammertime Cankles of being a evil, lying, anti-American, conceited, unhuggable cunt. This is the Do It All Dad Year podcast, dad-friendly entertainment for you and me. I want to thank my wife for being my biggest booster, my biggest believer in me. I know at times, I could huff and puff because I'm doing a little more cleaning than I'd like. I'm not, wired in that sense, but it's a small price to pay for being able to have this freedom, which is a beautiful thing, and that's to express myself in my own way like Frank would say, in my pursuit of achieving my lifetime career goal to be a respected American comedic figure who writes best-selling books down the road on kids and family, which I never thought I'd do, and to, in the end, be someone to my children who I could say, hey, Daddy never stopped believing in himself, and I always knew that God had my best interest at heart, and that God gave me you children to fill in for parents, a brother, and some so-called real friends that disappeared altogether once you came into my life. And after the work dried up, after my TV ran break. So thank you, God. Thank you. And again, thank you, Natalia, my lovely wife, for always believing that something good is around the corner. I know I talk a big game. I know you're sick of hearing about the tweets. I know you're sick of hearing about the podcast. But we've been sending our demo reels to a lot of radio stations. And I'm very excited about sharing what new career developments on this podcast. What I'm hoping in an ideal universe audience is that, something could pop in the talk radio front, and that, this could be, I hate to call my podcast my side bitch, but in the end, I really want to use this as a starting platform. So again, so I can interview other do-it-all dads, because I want to get close to you in the sense that I want to hear why your children are so special and why they look at you so adoringly compared to other dads. So it will be a great opportunity to basically pound your chest and pat yourself on the shoulder and reflect on what an amazing job you've done in this age of Me Too and a lot of people trying to minimize the role of a man's man. And I want to learn what survival skills you are teaching your children in this age of smartphones, political correctness, etc. So this is the Do It All Dad Year podcast, dad-friendly entertainment for you and me. Controlling our kids through comedy can make our kids great again. Kanye West, keep up the tweets. Take advantage of your God-given freedom that you have here in the beautiful, fantastic, super surging USA! USA! Talk to you soon.